today we're going to talk about negative feedback. And negative feedback is actually a positive action that your body takes if there's something that's not going right in your body. So your body wants to be in homeostasis, which is a stable position for your body to be in. All of your systems are working the correct way. So we're going to give your body a scenario. Let's say you have hypoxemia. And hypoxemia means that your body is low in oxygen or oxygen transportation. And if you're losing blood, the reason why you're low in oxygen is that your red blood cells are what carries your oxygen around in your body. So if you don't have enough of your red blood cells, then there's nothing to carry your oxygen around. So what the body will do is go into action. What needs to happen is erythropoiesis, which is the production of red blood cells. So, and the red blood cells are created in your bone marrow, and the bone marrow is in the center of almost every bone. So what happens first is your liver and kidneys send a erythropoietin, which stimulates the hematopoietic stem cell, which lives in your bone marrow. And once it gets stimulated, it becomes a erythrocyte colony-forming unit. Now, if you see this prefix, urethro, that has to do with red blood cells, and hema or hemo has to do with blood. So we have this stimulating this, and it becomes your colony forming unit. That colony forming unit becomes a erythroblast. This B here is going to be building, that they're going to be building red blood cells. So we have the stem cell becoming the colony forming unit, becoming the erythroblast, and then those erythroblasts start to multiply, and they really multiply. After they multiply, they lose their nuclei. They are cells that have a nucleus, but then they lose that nucleus. And when they lose that nucleus, they become reticulocytes. And they're called reticulocytes because they have bundles of ribosomes in them. Once they reach this stage, they go back into the bloodstream, and in 2 or 3 days, they become mature red blood cells. So your body has gone through this process quickly to get those red blood cells back in action through erythropoiesis. So, I'm going to freeze and show you our negative feedback loop. This is what your body's doing to correct the situation. So we start with our hypoxemia. That's what your body's experiencing right now. So the kidneys and the liver are going to send out the erythropoiesis, which is going to stimulate the stem cells in your bone marrow, and it accelerates this erythropoiesis. Stem cells then we have our colony forming, we have our erythroblasts, reticulocytes, and when that happens, we have an increase in our red blood cell count. Now we can transport all of the oxygen wherever it needs to go. So this is our negative feedback correcting a situation. Now, this erythropoiesis happens all the time. Our red blood cells only last 120 days. So they're always replacing red blood cells. This negative feedback loop is for when there's something like excessive bleeding and more red blood cells need to come into action. So this is your negative feedback loop to bring us back to homeostasis.